Anyway, roll call.
All right, Director Daniels is absent. Vice President Jaffe is absent. Director LaHue,
I am here.
Director Lather,
Present.
and President Christensen.
Here.
Thank you.
Okay, I can't, at the moment, I cannot see who might be here, who are members of the public. But if anyone wishes to comment on closed session at this point, this is the time to do it.
We do not have any public members.
Okay, then I propose that we adjourn to the closed session. I guess we have had a closed session, but we had no reportable action to report. So we're on to our number 2, the public hearing. We don't have one. Number 3, any of the board members wish to remove any items from the consent agenda?
No.
Okay.
And the only question is on 4.6, do we need to vote on that? Again, or we already?
I think we did already.
I think
voted
it's
to
in the
nominate her.
affirmative without action. Without alternatives, I should say. I'm having trouble pulling it up, but you've already, Emma, help us out, but appointed her to do that. But now this is the official part of it. Dr.
Correct.
Right. I just want to make sure we don't mess up that. Okay.
Yeah, if we approve the consent items, does that automatically approve that?
Yes, if the board were to approve the consent calendar as is, it would
Okay.
approve that item as presented in the staff report.
But do we need any public comment before voting on this item? I'm not sure if that was taken. Maybe it was.
Well, right now we're just at whether board members are removing
Okay.
anything from
Yes,
consent
whether we need to
agenda. So
pull
we
it.
right,
Yeah.
and so
Thank you.
I do not have anything to pull, and I just wanted to compliment you on the work on. I liked all the scope of work you did for the hydraulic distribution modeling, and I learned a lot. So, but nothing to remove.
I know, me too.
Yeah, and also the fire hydrant relocation, that was pretty very neatly described also. So okay, so do we have a motion do we have any comments
From the public, yeah.
from the public?
Yeah.
If we have
Let's
one
see.
member.
Let me look and see. There's only. I do not see any raised hands.
Okay. All right.
Thank you, Dr.
So I'll move approval.
And
Okay.
I'll second
Okay, then we'll have a roll
of the
call.
consent agenda.
Yes.
Right.
Director Daniels is absent. Vice President Jaffe is absent. Director LaHue,
Yes.
Director Lather,
Yes.
and President Christensen.
Yes. So we move on to item 5, oral and written communications. First of all, I'll ask any members of the public if they'd like to make a contribution. And that means you, Jennifer. You would just call you out since you're a good follower here.
All right.
Okay, and
Understand.
anyone else would like to speak on the board?
I just was gonna I'll just say
Mhm.
I learned a lot, had a nice update from Rosemary Menard about some of the work they've been doing.
Uh-huh.
Just really a lot of good climate modeling along with their hydraulic modeling and updated modeling of their system, and just the ability to kind of look at different scenarios and then make decisions based on those possibilities, and worst case scenario seemed like really valuable stuff. That was just great.
Oh, I'm glad you got to go do that. That was
Yeah, it was great.
interested to hear it myself.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You've been doing some good work.
Okay. Rochelle? Anything?
I made it back from Vermont in one piece, so
Okay.
Good to
I
hear.
was I was afraid of driving in the snow, but it didn't snow this time, so that was nice. But it was really cold.
Oh, well, that's nice to hear anyway, because I had heard there was a heat wave there.
It was a wave of 25 degrees at night,
Well,
rather
that's
than minus
pretty
10, rather than minus 10.
Yes, more climate change in action here, I guess. Okay, well, I don't really have anything either. Just things that I've read in the paper. So I'll move on to item 6.1, the district council oral report.
Thanks, President Christensen. Just a reminder that we do anticipate that the statewide declaration of emergency will be rescinded at the end of this month, and assuming that's the case, our first meeting in March will be after the really flexible AB 361 rules have gone away. And so, Ron or Emma can jump in and provide a little bit more detail, but I think the plan is right now to have, that first meeting in March in person. So, that would be, first in-person meeting since the pandemic.
Good point. Thank you. I was thinking about that. But that first meeting is in March, right? March 21st.
Yeah, so the first meeting is canceled, and so it'll be our second meeting of the month, which is the 21st at the Capitola Chambers.
Okay. Right. Well, keep your calendars marked on that one then.
Yeah, I better make sure it's on my calendar.
Yes. Okay, and then item 6.2, I think I saw Sierra here, so I know I'm looking forward to the Santa Cruz County Water Resources Management Status Report for this
That
year,
was quite-
past year.
That was
Yeah,
quite the report.
Yeah,
Thank you.
it was.
I'm hoping you're not
Explain
going
some
over
of it.
every detail.
I was going to go through all 40 pages, page by page,
Okay.
point by point. I was just going to read it.
Okay.
Yeah, perfect. That's my favorite.
I am going to ask if I can share my screen. Yes, I pull up the right one. While I'm doing this, I just want to thank everyone for having me tonight. I've been looking forward to presenting this. As you noticed, it is a it's a fairly substantial amount of work to do every year to put these reports together, and
Yes.
I do appreciate knowing that they are read and appreciated by the community and by other members of with water management backgrounds and interests. So I'm just going to go over a couple highlights today, and I'm here to answer questions. Because you had the report in the packet, there's really no reason to go through great detail, but I did appreciate Ron asking me to come and give this presentation and just make sure that the community knows that this is a resource that's available to them. So about the water status report, this is something that we've been doing at the county for over 20 years now. This is something that was requested by the Board of Supervisors as a way for them to keep track of what's happening, not just with the water resources program at the county, of which I should have said I am the water resources program manager for the county of Santa Cruz. The Board of Supervisors is also interested in knowing what's happening countywide outside of what we at the county have direct influence over. And I think that's part of what's so valuable about having this running document that gets redone every year is you get sort of a time capsule where you can look back over time and see how things have changed and progressed and what are the themes that have been driving the projects and management actions and partnerships and grant opportunities that we've all taken advantage of. As I said, the reports do go back 20 years, but they haven't always been so comprehensive. We really, over the last 5 or 6 years, really since the previous big drought, put a lot more effort into trying to make sure that we're capturing what's happening region-wide. So to do that and to do it well, we reach out to partners, so other outside agencies, partners within the county, different departments. I'm within the Health Services Agency, but we reach out to Parks and OR3 and Community Development and Infrastructure, which is planning and public works, to get reports from them. We also reach out to outside organizations, including yours, Soquel Creek Water District, and the large water distribution agencies, and then also nonprofits like the Regional Water Management Foundation and the Resource Conservation District. We try to make sure that we're highlighting the work of the groundwater sustainability agencies and really capturing all of the resource concerns, natural resource fish flows that we have in this community as well. This year, so every year we choose a theme, and this year the theme, as it turned out, was aptly preparing for a changing climate. At the time we were writing this report, we were covering water year 2022 and really covered activities up until December of 2022. We were at that time in the third consecutive dry year, and I think we had 2022 was about 70% of average precipitation. The previous year was only around 50%. The year before that was closer to 70 again. And we were looking at that triple dip La Nina, and we were worried it wasn't going to rain at all. So it turns out, instead, even more appropriately, now we've flown into this whiplash weather situation where all of a sudden it's been quite wet, which I think has been a really good demonstration of why some of the activities that we talk about in this plan are so important. Other drivers this last year, there was that big budget surplus at the state, which allowed for a number of grant opportunities that our local community was really primed to take advantage of. And then bigger picture, there has been a push towards resiliency as a priority, not just for projects and management actions, but from the state as a funding mechanism, and something that, given that we are now actually experiencing climate change in a way that's undeniable, and we're no longer talking about something in the distant future, we're talking about things happening to us right now, like today, this very week. It's changed the dialogue, and it seems to be speeding things up because the community understands what's happening, the legislature understands, the grant funders understand the urgency of which we have to work on some of these water issues. Some of the highlights, key activities that we highlighted in this document. The county has spent a long time in compliance with Senate Bill 552, working on drought response planning for private well owners and small water systems, and I talk about that process fairly extensively in the report. I also want to highlight all of the grant funding that got brought in, and this isn't even all of it, but the county did an excellent job. The partnerships with the agencies, individually and in partnership with each other, brought in really extensive grant funding to the community on water-related issues. And then the projects, Pure Water Soquel being obviously one of the biggest ones happening in the county, although there are quite a number of them going on. We're starting to see really extensive projects that have been planned for decades actually being implemented now, and it's really exciting to see all of the planning that's already been done having a real impact. And so we talk about that a lot in the plan this year, in the status report this year as well. I'm not going to include all of the figures in the report, but this one I wanted to highlight because it's new. This is something we did put together for that drought response plan, and it's a map that shows all of the parcels in the county that are served by private wells, which is something that we didn't actually have before. We had GIS layers based on where well permits existed, but that's obviously some wells predate permitting. So this was one new thing I thought that your board in particular might be interested in seeing some of the work that's been done. And then this is a table that we produce every year, and I think it's a really valuable resource, and I wanted to highlight it because people may or may not have seen this, and I think anyone reading the whole plan will have seen it, whole report. But I wanted to make sure that the community who might be watching this also knows about this, because it tells a really incredible story about where water is coming from and how it's being used in the county. And it's the way we get this information is we just ask the water districts and water agencies to give us their population numbers, their, all the information on the table. We collect it from water systems ourselves at the county. Some report to the state and some report directly to us. And then we get the ag water use from PV Water for the Santa Cruz County part of their service area. And then there are a couple estimates, but it's really interesting seeing this and seeing how it changes year by year, and how I think it's going to change probably more dramatically moving forward. This is also a very telling graph, and this is one that we add to every year. It's water production, and this is by all of the municipal utilities within the county, the larger water agencies. It's showing the decoupling of population and water use. And this is one that I use a lot when I talk about, the arguments about growth and water use. I like to show this chart and just demonstrate it's not as linear as it seems like. It's not as simple as you might think it is. And this is a great demonstration of that. So since this goes back to 1984, we've had fairly steady population growth, although obviously the most of that happened in the 80s and 90s. It's quite plateaued since then. But then water use has gone down. So we are currently using less water as a community now in 2022 than we were in 1984. And I think that that's something a message that is important to share. And then this graph is one where I compare water use, water production, pumped water to rain. And I think this one's really interesting as well, because it seems that since the 2014 drought, we've also really decoupled the correlation between rainfall and water use, where water use has essentially stayed flat through very wet years and extremely dry years. So I thought that that was an interesting outcome. It's, the very beginning of noticing this trend. This is really the first time I've looked at it that way. And I thought that might be a good way to end this presentation to your board tonight. So with that, I'm very happy to take any questions you might have.
Are there any questions from our public member here before we begin? Okay. All right.
We have a raised hand.
We do.
President Christensen.
And where is it?
Jennifer, I'll unmute you.
Excellent. Nice to talk to you again, Jennifer.
Jennifer, your mic's available.
You have to mute yourself.
Yeah, I just wanted to say thank you so much for that presentation. It was so great. And I might be one public member, but I do pass on this information to maybe as many as 30 people a day. So thank you.
Wow.
Wow.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yes, thank you very much.
Okay.
Director Christensen, this is Ron. May I say something?
Yeah.
First of all, Sierra, I don't know who had, or Emma, Becca, if you have the page 91 of the packet, I'll just point out that you notice the curve there of the small community water extractors, the bell-shaped curve, and we don't have that. It's much flatter, so there's some room there potentially. And then I can't let this escape. Sarah kind of rearranged your report this year. I think you've done a great job. Thank you. And thank you for speaking tonight. Page 112, there's a nice picture we might go to.
Oh, I love that picture.
Oh,
Could let that one go.
I had a feeling that might come up.
Carla.
Yeah, I mean, what a glorious capture of a really exciting moment that was. So.
Well said. Well said. So yeah,
No.
Thank you.
Great jump, Sarah, by the way.
Everybody's in the air. So
Yeah.
somebody had to hold the
I
check.
was amazed at Melanie. I was like, how the heck? did
I
she
don't know
do
how
that?
she jumps like that. It's
I
amazing.
know. The look on my face was, it was like realizing that I was not able to jump very high. And it was, I was like, oh no, I can't jump. What happened? So I really think it's a great picture though.
I wanted to jump and we asked him not to so that the sign wasn't all crazy.
Yeah, nice try. Only one sane one in the whole group is what that depicts.
You were holding on to the money.
Yeah,
Oh, so
thank you.
I just had a
Thank you,
question for
Sierra. Good job.
Sierra too. Yeah, I had a question for Sierra, and that was just how your sustainability committee worked out over the year.
It worked out really well. Thank you for asking. So I assume that you're referring to the drought response.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yes. So we had a committee that we put together to help guide the county with the implementation of SB 552. That's the drought for small water systems and private wells. And we had a mixed group of members we had the GSAs, we had members of the public, we had members from the Water Advisory Commission at the county. And it worked out really well. I think we got a lot of good input. We got a lot of good action items for the county. I mean, Ron pointed out that bell curve, there is still work to be done in the community. And water conservation, drought planning and resiliency is an area that the county hasn't historically played a very big role. You know, we issue well permits and that's really it. Water systems are obviously regulated under our LPA, but there's not a lot of services that go along with that. And so I think we got a lot of good tips and good guidance on how we can be more effective as a service, as an entity here, to make sure that there is a safety net for folks during dry periods in the future. So it worked out really well. Thank you for asking.
Oh, well, I'm glad to hear it. I know, because that was extremely timely. I have to,
Yes.
even if we have rain now, it's just.
You know, I think we've learned that just because we have rain today doesn't mean that we can count on it tomorrow.
We could have 6 years of drought right after this. So
Exactly.
I know. It's just so painful to have to remember that.
I know.
Any other questions about it or comments?
Very well done.
Yes.
Yeah, it was
Nice.
well done. I read it
Thank
on
you.
the airplane.
Oh,
I did too. I
oh,
was
yeah.
on an airplane too.
Cool.
Last night, yesterday, flying back from Grandpa Land.
Yeah.
Well, good. I hope it kept your attention. I know working on planes
It
is
did.
not.
Yeah, me too.
No, it's actually kind of good
Fantastic.
because I'm a captain. It's hard for me to sit down very long, and that forced me to sit down and read the whole packet.
I'm glad to hear that.
Okay. I think this is an information only
Yes.
item,
Yeah.
but I thank you very much, and sorry about the slight delays we had. And
Don't worry about it. Thank you very much for having me.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay, moving on to item 7. 7.1, the conditional and unconditional will serves. And this is
A big one.
a big one. It was one I was looking forward to hearing about. So that's good.
Okay, well, Shelley's on and she might know a lot more about the project than I do, but it's between 44th and 45th in Capitola, off Capitola Road, and it's a 36 unit affordable housing proposal with also, I think, a community center of some sort. There's an existing development there. You might have driven by it before. And so that would be demolished, and the existing, I think it's a 1-inch meter, would be, somewhat credited to the project. We haven't really done much infrastructure. We haven't sized up the infrastructure yet, but it fronts 2 water mains, so there's water available. physically. And I think, as you recall, since the board's last action, it does not is not subject to water demand offsets. But we are bringing it to you because it is a significant project, and I don't know if you have any specific questions about the units. Very, I guess, similar to the home key project that was proposed off of Park Avenue.
Okay.
I believe, and correct me if I'm wrong, Shelley, but hopefully that is correct.
Shelley, you're on mute if you're speaking. And if not, I'll say a few words. This project's been in the mix for a while. It's not like it just popped up because of the board's actions last board meeting about the WDO program. This would have probably been on this agenda regardless. So this one.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Oh, okay. Sorry,
ma'am.
I had to reset my system and changed my speakers. Yeah, so this project actually applied back in October. They've been in communication with us for about 6 months. And we didn't get it on an agenda for conditional will serve approval. It kind of got lost in the mix, and the applicant never inquired with us. So we just kind of noticed a couple weeks ago that it had gotten missed. And so we're bringing it forward now. The offset requirement at the time we calculated was about 3 acre feet. The applicant had about an acre foot of existing offset from historical use. So that's a little bit about the history of it.
Okay.
So it'll be a 2 acre foot difference.
Well, it would have been 4 acre feet, but
Oh,
instead
it was 4. Okay, okay, got it.
it's about 3.
Okay.
Okay.
Oh, okay. So this is the first stab at affordable housing, and as we know, apartments are big worry, especially at this size of a development. So did they mention anything about outside watering or anything like that on that parcel, or is it just not even big enough for that?
I'm not sure about the landscape plans, but they'll have to do a full landscape design and irrigation system plan. And it'll be, need to be efficient in accordance with our landscape ordinance and the state's MOELO, the Model Water Efficient Landscape Ordinance. I would imagine it will have some sort of a landscape area. It probably will be pretty small, but.
Okay. Well, it's close to some parks there actually too. And what about the appliances and things like that?
Yeah, they'll also, for the indoor fixtures, they'll need to meet our indoor water efficiency requirements. So basically they mimic the California Green Building Code.
Okay.
So high efficiency toilets, faucets, shower heads, separate metering. Well, actually, no, this one won't require separate metering for each unit because I believe it's considered 100% affordable housing, and there's a legal exemption now for projects that meet those requirements.
Really? Huh. Why is that? I don't get that. What's the connection?
I think it's to make the cost of housing less expensive. So they can sub-meter, but we cannot require them to put in.
We cannot require it.
Yeah, but a lot of projects probably are considering sub-metering of some sort. Like another one we have on our books on Park Avenue, I think they're looking at sub-metering.
But we have no power to require that.
Correct. That's a new law that passed. I forget the number of it, but we've worked with Josh on that to kind of analyze that and what that means for our ordinance.
Yeah, matter of fact,
is it-
yeah. Oh, go ahead, Dr. LaHue.
Oh, just, sorry, on the landscape plan that you guys put up there, isn't there a limit on the size that you can have any watered
Yeah, there's
area? Like,
a limit on the amount of turf
Like-
grass you can have, and there's also currently a state law that says that you can't irrigate non-functional turf that's set to expire
that was
in
what I was thinking.
June. And you know, it's a little bit of a gray area for multifamily developments.
Oh,
But
okay.
it looks like, according to this plan, it's mostly going to be water efficient planting, trees and shrubs. I don't
Okay.
even see any turf grass in their plans.
Okay.
Yeah, it
Good to
doesn't
know.
look like it.
Yarrow, lantana, those are all water
Yep.
water-wise plants.
What are they tearing down to build that?
I believe there's a church there now.
Trying to
Gosh, I
picture where
drive
this
by
is.
it all-
It's you know, as you approach the DMV, it'll be on your right, like that first stop sign on Capitola Road as you head towards the DMV.
Okay.
And just so the board knows, there's a whole process with Shelley's team in the Water Resources Department. For example, I think Roy Sykes probably goes through and, you know, double validates the plans and things like that, the irrigation plans. Yeah.
Yeah, and then for projects like this, we have to do an audit when the landscape's all installed to make sure that they've met our landscape requirements.
And then they'll pay water capacity fees.
They will pay water capacity for at least one domestic meter. It'll probably be a pretty big meter if it's serving 36 units, at least probably a 2-inch. And then their landscape will still require a dedicated landscape meter.
Okay,
So they pay capacity on that as well.
thank you.
Mhm.
Well, this is a very good, this is a very good project. It is about time for Capitola to get their feet wet on this. So,
I think I didn't know whether you wanted to ask for any public comment or anything. I don't.
oh,
Does
did
that
I not ask yet? I didn't. Is there any public comment on this project? Can someone tell me if someone's?
I'm looking.
Thank you.
No hand raised.
Don't see anything.
Okay.
All
we're
righty.
good, I think.
Then can we look for a motion here then?
I'll make a motion.
I'll second.
Okay, roll call.
Director Daniels is absent. Vice President Jaffe is absent. Director LaHue,
Yes.
Director Lather,
Yes.
and President Christensen.
Yes. All right, and okay, item 7.2, this is had been a deferred project to the approving a release of a request for qualifications for professional services to evaluate collaboration studies for Scotts Valley Water District and Soquel Creek Water District. So,
Yes, President Christian, I'll take this one, although you were involved on the ad hoc committee.
yes.
So you and Director Lather also. But yeah, this is about the board approving request for qualifications to evaluate strategies with Scotts Valley to try to more effectively use our resources. It was about a year ago that the board approved forming that ad hoc committee. And then you and Director Lather, along with with Scotts Valley board members and some staff, provided some recommendations on November 1st of 2022, which involved putting out an RFQ. And at that meeting, our board requested it come back just for approval so they could see it, which I think was a good call, good idea. And so that's what's before you tonight, is to approve it. And the process is, if you do approve it tonight, then the Scotts Valley Board will consider it in a couple weeks. I think I have the date in there, but and so it's also asking you to approve it with minor, any non-substantial edits in case Scotts Valley wants to tweak a word or two. But that would be upon general counsel, our council's approval. And then also, in addition to that, if there are two board members who would like to participate on the RFQ review and selection committee. So I'll be glad to answer any questions. Otherwise, I'll stop it there. And you can see, and I will say a shout out to Scotts Valley. They did the lift on this one. Tracy, Emma, and I all reviewed it and provided comment. Maybe Josh did too. But so shout out to them for doing the big lift. Thank you.
Any questions from the board members about this? I know there are two of us who participated in this, the preparation of this, but so that would leave you, Tom.
Yeah,
I do not have
I was
questions.
there.
I'm
Sorry.
good.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right.
You're not on the spot or anything.
Okay.
No, it's fine. I'm
And
good with
then,
it.
are there anybody, is it anybody of the three of us to participate in the RFQ review?
There's two very qualified people.
I volunteer.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Would you like to volunteer, Tom? I'm not sure I will be
I
able
don't know
to
if
be
you can
available.
see me. The cat got on my
Pardon?
lap.
Oh, yeah, you're sinking, but you're still there.
Okay.
You're saying you do not want to do that, Carla?
I think just because of the timing, it might be too complicated for me right now.
Oh yeah, what is the
Talking
time?
about March 1st at we're talking about March 9th, I believe.
Oh, that's okay for me. Okay.
What's the process? What's logistically the process?
Oh,
So I think March 9th might be when Scotts Valley will look at it. Is that right? I'm looking
right.
at the thing feverishly. And then it would
And-
go out, say we give them a month or so to respond, and then we would review them probably remotely, and then come together
Okay.
if we needed to have interviews, or probably at least for one interviewing one party. So let's see,
Okay, I could do
April.
it then. I could do it then probably. I could-
April would probably, things would probably come
Okay.
together.
I mean, if you want,
You
if you
know,
want to, Carla, I mean,
Oh,
it's
no,
fine. I
if
mean,
you'd like to,
No,
no, I actually was thinking it would make more sense for you guys to do it just because you've already been in on the discussion. That's all.
You
I mean,
know
I'll
what?
do it
yeah, the
if I
problem
need
is,
to, but
the problem is I'm going to be like out for almost 3 weeks in April.
Oh.
So
well,
it
I'll
may
be your
not,
backup.
yeah, maybe we should just play that by ear then. And I also at this point will call for comment from the members of the public too. Any other comments on that one? Okay, so
as much
And-
as I do this.
okay. Yeah, we were very interested. Of course, we volunteered to be in the committee, the original committee that we disbanded on, because we were interested in seeing where this could take us. And so this is the important next step that was necessary. We couldn't continue meetings, and so it is really important. It's just
Well, why don't I would suggest you two do it, and then I'll be a backup if somebody can't make it.
okay. An alternate. I think that should work, shouldn't it?
I believe so. Josh, you're okay with that?
Yes, although we'll just want to make sure there isn't a serial communication by swapping someone out. It'll just depend on the process. So yes, and we can, tweak it if necessary.
Maybe we can, once the dates are
Yeah.
out there, then it'll be more obvious whether people can make it or not.
Yeah,
Yes.
and it may be a one-time meeting. And remember
Right.
that it's a committee to make a recommendation to the respective board. So the whole board will have,
Right.
liberty, and, so there's always that backstop.
Mhm.
Yeah, my experience is it's 4 to 6 weeks to get a turnaround from consultants. I mean, 4 weeks is kind of tight, so I'd
Mhm.
probably be back from Japan by
Well-
then. But
You'll be in Japan. Oh, excellent. Good. Have a good
Well,
experience.
I'll make the motion that we approve the RFQ and appoint directors. Carla, you want me to say your whole thing? President Christensen
No,
and
no.
Director Lather for the 2 board members. And then I'll be happy to be an alternate if it meets the criteria necessary legally.
Thank you. I'll
Okay.
second that. So that's
Okay.
that's motions 1 and 2 we're voting on.
Yep.
All right, roll call. Director Daniels is absent. Vice President Jaffe is absent. Director LaHue,
Yes.
Director Lather,
yes,
and President Christensen.
Yes. So I guess that, gosh. There we are. We're finished.
Number 9.